Thank you guys for tuning in to the Only You podcast. This is your host, Lo Jackson. I'm coming to you live in the country here in beautiful Illinois, where all the trees are fully bloomed, leaves. I got lettuce growing. I got tomatoes that are a foot tall. I got cilantro, oregano, basil. I got everything. I got dill, deliciousness, tomatoes. It's going down. We're learning about Mark Twain this month. What a great author. What a great friend. I'm telling you, once you read his books, he is like your best friend in the end. You're like, I love this guy. Twain has no living direct descendants. Did you guys know that? Pretty wild, right? Pretty sad. Says here, Olivia Clemens died in 1904 at age 58, while on April 21st, 1910, her renowned husband, whose health had been in decline for a number of months, died at age 74 at his home in Redding, Connecticut. Their surviving child, Clara, died in 1962 at age 88. Clara Clemens had one child, Nina Gorbowich, who passed away in 1966. Gorbowich was childless, so there are no direct descendants of Samuel Clemens alive today. And I kind of wanted to share that with you because I thought it was important. Today I'm going to be sharing a great read with you called The War Prayer. And it's a short story, but I think it's really important and the insight's wonderful because, you know, we're going through a lot right now. I think everybody is, and we're all on the verge of insanity, I think, anymore. And it's more and more you see people just drifting apart. You see families like never getting together, and it's sad. It's alarming and worrisome for our country, for our people, and as mankind in itself. You know, we're all but nothing but men, and we all believe the same. And the war prayer, I think, will be insightful because I wanted to share this with you just for the fact that I wanted to show how deeply Mark Twain could change his writing styles through, you know, he had a wonderful mind. I mean, hands down, he was one of the best I've ever come across. Obviously, you have probably read many of his writings yourselves. I think I wanted to share some stuff with you about artificial intelligence because we're going to be reading the war prayer, and everybody's always talking about war now, and we're going to war with these people and those people. It's like, I hope we don't. I hope that the world has learned that war solves nothing. Nobody's going to benefit from, you know, nuclear behaviors. You know, it's like, come on, you guys. It really stinks. How is artificial intelligence used in war? Well, artificial intelligence systems have the ability to predict enemy behavior, anticipate vulnerabilities, weather and environment conditions, assess missions, strategies, and suggest alleviation plans. This can save time and human resources, putting soldiers a step ahead of their targets. I found that to be an awesome read right there. I thought, man, I gotta share that with you guys. That's pretty cool. What is the most advanced artificial intelligent robot in the world? Her name is Sophia, and Sophia is considered the most advanced humanoid robot as of April 24th of 2023. I think that's kind of important to know, you know, what's going on with this artificial intelligence stuff. You know, it can analyze battlefield situations, and it can analyze whole groups of people from a drone in the sky watching them. It's like, wow, dude, kind of wild. That's why I wanted to share it with you, because the times are tough right now, and hopefully they get better soon, and hopefully everything gets turned around, and we can all be at peace with one another and go forward and be human together. You know, it's tough out there. And thank you guys for listening to me, and thank you for following me. This is your boy Lo Jackson. I wanted to say that I am grateful for everybody's input and feedback. Here's a question for you. Has a shark ever been spotted in the Mississippi River? Since we're learning about Mark Twain. Whoa, shark spotted in Mississippi River in Illinois. This is of May 24th of 2023. Illinois, the land of cornfields, deep dish pizza, and sharks. Yes, you heard it right. Reports have surfaced claiming that sharks, specifically bull sharks, have been sighted swimming in rivers and making their way into the heartland of America. The question is how? While it might seem like a fishy story, there's an explanation behind the bizarre phenomenon. You might be scratching your head wondering why these toothy creatures would venture so far from their salty homes. Well, climate change could be playing a sneaky role here. Rising water temperatures and altered salinity levels might just be enticing these adventurous sharks to take a dip in unexpected places like the Mississippi River. Yikes. Dun-dun. Thank you guys for listening. That's pretty wild, though. Have you guys ever seen a bull shark? It's kind of scary. I want to read to you this wonderful, wonderful writing called The War Prayer. And it goes like this. It was a time of great and exulting excitement. The country was up in arms. The war was on. In every breast burned the holy fire of patriotism. The drums were beating, the bands playing, the toy pistols popping, the bunched firecrackers hissing and sputtering. On every hand and far down, the recording and fading spread of roofs and balconies, a fluttering wilderness of flags flashed in the sun. Daily the young volunteers marched down the wide adventure, gay and fine in their new uniforms. The proud fathers and mothers and sisters and sweethearts cheering them with voices choked with happy emotion as they swung by nightly. The packed masses meetings listened, panting to patriot oratory which stirred the deepest deeps of their hearts and which they interrupted at brief intervals and cyclones of applause, the tears running down their cheeks the while. In the churches the pastors preached devotion to flag and country and invoked the God of battles, beseeching his aid in our good cause, an outpouring of fevered eloquence which moved every listener. It was indeed a glad and glorious time, and the half-dozen rash spirits that ventured to disapprove of the war and cast doubt upon its righteousness straightway got such a stern and angry warning that for their personal safety's sake they quickly shrank out of the sight and offended no more in that way. Sunday morning came. Next day the battalions would leave for the front. The church was filled. The volunteers were there, their young faces alit with martial dreams, visions of the stern advance, the gathering momentum, the rushing charge, the flashing sabers, the flight of the foe, the tumult, the enveloping smoke, the fierce pursuit, the surrender, them home from the war, Bronze heroes, welcomed, adored, submerged in golden seas of glory. With the volunteers sat their dear ones, proud, happy, and envied by the neighbors and friends who had no sons and brothers to send forth to the field of honor, there to win for the flag or, falling, die the noblest of noble deaths. The service proceeded. A war chapter from the Old Testament was read. The first prayer was said. It was followed by the organ burst that shook the building, and with one impulse the house rose with glowing eyes and beating hearts and poured out that tremendous invocation. God, the all-terrible, thou who ordainest thunder thy clarion and lightning thy sword. Then came the long prayer. None could remember like of it, for passion, pleading, and moving beautiful language, the burden of its supplication was that an ever merciful and benign Father of us all would watch over our noble young soldiers and aid comfort and encourage them in their patriotism. Bless them, shield them in the day of battle and the hour of peril. Bear them in his mighty hand. Make them strong and confident, invincible in the bloody onset. Help them to crush the foe. Grant them to their flag and country imperishable honor and glory. An aged stranger entered and moved with slow, noiseless step up the main aisle, his eyes fixed upon the minister, the long body clothed in a robe that reached to his feet, his head bare, his white hair descending in a frothy cataract to his shoulders, his seamy face unnaturally pale even to ghastliness, with all eyes following him and wondering. He made his silent way. Without pausing, he ascended to the preacher's side and stood there waiting. With shut lids, the preacher, unconscious of his presence, continued with his moving prayer, and at last finished it with the words uttered in fervent appeal. Bless our arms, grant us the victory, O Lord our God, Father and Protector of our land and flag. The stranger touched his arm, motioned him to step aside, which the startled minister did, and took his place. During some moments, he surveyed the spellbound audience with solemn eyes in which burned an uncanny light. Then in a deep voice he said, I come from the throne, bearing a message from Almighty God. The words smote the house with a shock, and the stranger perceived it. He gave no attention. If the stranger perceived it, he gave no attention. He has heard the prayer of his servant, your shepherd, and will grant you its import, that is to say, its full import. For it is like unto many of the prayers of men, in that it asks for more than he utters it is aware of, except he paused and think. Thank you guys for listening to the Only You podcast in this late May. I wanted to tell you that Mark Twain's favorite food. Twain listed among other things his favorite foods are Missouri partridge, Connecticut shad, Baltimore canvasback duck, fresh butter beans, Southern style light bread, and ash roasted potatoes. Thought I would share that with you. Kind of cool. And his ultimate favorite pie was called apple mush pie. He enjoyed blueberry pie as well. I've been loving learning about Mark Twain and reading this stuff to you guys. Here we go. Back to the war prayer. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. God's servant and yours has prayed his prayer. Has he paused and taken thought? Is it one prayer? No, it is two. One uttered, the other not. Both have reached the ear of him who heareth all supplications, the spoken and the unspoken. Ponder this. Keep it in mind. If you would beseech a blessing upon yourself, beware, lest without intent you invoke a curse upon a neighbor at the same time. If you pray for the blessing of rain upon your crop which needs it, by that act you are possibly praying for a curse upon some neighbor's crop which may not need rain and can be injured by it. You have heard your servant prayer, the uttered part of it. I am commissioned of God to put into words the other part of it, that part which the pastor and also you in your hearts fervently prayed silently and ignorantly and unthinkingly. God grant that it was so. You heard these words. Grant us the victory. O Lord our God, this is sufficient. The whole of the uttered prayer is compact into those pregnant words. Elaboration were not necessary. Elaboration were not necessary. When you have prayed for victory, you have prayed for many unmentioned results which follow victory, must follow it, cannot help but follow it. Upon the listening Spirit of God the Father fell also the unspoken part of the prayer. He commandeth me to put it into words. Listen. O Lord our Father, our young patriots, idols of our hearts, go further to battle. Be thou near them, with them in spirit. We also go forth from the sweet peace of our beloved firesides to smite the foe. O Lord our God, help us to tear the soldiers to bloody shreds with our shells. Help us to cover their smiling fields with the pale forms of their patriot dead. Help us to drown the thunder of the guns with the shrieks of their wounded, withering in pain. Help us to lay waste their humble homes with a hurricane of fire. Help us to wring the hearts of their unoffering widowed with unveiling grief. Help us to turn them out ruthless with their little children to wander unfriended with wastes of their desolated land in rags and hunger and thirst, sports of the sun, flames of the summer, and the icy winds of winter, broken in spirit, worn in travail, imploring there blast their hopes, blight their lives, protract their bitter pilgrimage, make heavy their steps, water their way with their tears, stain with the white snow, with the blood of the wounded feet. We ask it, in the spirit of love of him, who is the source of love, and who is in the ever-faithful refuge and friend of all that are sore beset and seek his aid with humble and contrite hearts. Amen. Ye have prayed it. If ye still desire it, speak. The messenger of the Most High waits. It was believed afterwards the man with a lunatic, because there was no sense in what he said. Thank you guys for listening to the Only You podcast. Hopefully you have enjoyed the war prayer. I thought that was such a deep read. I couldn't resist but to share it with you. It really touched my heart, and we hear so much anymore about war and the things that are going on in different parts of the world that are just unspeakable, and it's just painful to see, and who knows what's really at play there and who's to blame and what's the cause. But hopefully we can find peace soon there, and just have faith in, their governments, that things will be peaceful at some point. And I do pray for everyone's safety in the world, and war is not a good thing, but you hear a lot about that anymore, and threats here and there, and it's just it's a trying time, I think, and I find that sad because life shouldn't be such a government controlled entity. When it's your life, and you should be able to live it the way you want to, not with everybody having to know every little thing you're doing at every little moment. And unfortunately, I feel like that's kind of what goes on in the world anymore. But hopefully I'm wrong. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for following me. And thank you for sharing me. And hopefully you've enjoyed learning about Mark Twain. I think that the war prayer was really deep. I mean, did you hear the words he said in the end? It was like, wow. But you can tell the difference in his writing styles this month, right? Like Mark Twain, he can write about funny stuff. He can write about serious stuff. He can write about the birds and the trees. Come on. He is like, just when he puts his mind to paper, it's like, pen and paper, it's crazy. And some of the stuff that I read about him is like quite interesting. He wore white because he felt like it was more he wouldn't get germs that way, and he'd see more stuff that way. It was for health reasons. And everybody always like, why is he wearing white? And that was why. But thank you guys for listening to me, and hopefully you enjoyed the war prayer, and hopefully you enjoyed Life on the Mississippi. That was my favorite one, honestly. I loved the Life on the Mississippi, the first one I read. But get out there and read these books, or read some of his stuff, and drop me a line. Let me know what you think about it and how it makes you feel, because I'm from this area, and as you can hear in the background, this is what it's like, life on the Mississippi. Yeah. Just a minute ago, there was a coyote howling. I don't know if you heard him. But it's a wonderful time here in Illinois. I got so much stuff growing. I love it. I've been eating it all night. It's delicious. I love you guys. Thank you for following me. And peace out.